Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Live with Alan and Greg. And our guest tonight is Randy Ray, the literate Texan. So if you're in the chat room, come in and say hello. So, how are you two gentlemen doing tonight? Anything exciting happening in your lives? Randy?
Alan, you go first.
I'm all right. I'm all right. Did some errands this morning, did some reading. Wanted to shave and shower before the show, but didn't make it do that. But I'm here, feeling good. Randy?
You're looking good.
Well, thank you.
You know what? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Health is good since the last visit to the hospital. I'm over the infection, and my subscriber base is growing really rapidly lately. My videos, I've changed my approach a little bit lately, and it's paid off. And yeah, I've just got nothing to complain about. Life is good.
Sounds like a plan.
How about you, Greg?
I'm doing real well. I'm having to sort of fast tonight because I went for just a general health checkup the other week, and they want to do a blood test.
Oh.
And they say they want to do it after you fast. I'm making sure that I'm not having any too much sugar tonight, and no food and no alcohol. So get that over with. But nothing.
I get a blood test once a month.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I do that once every 2 months.
Okay. Yeah.
Blood test.
So we got in the chat room and admitting it. We got James Holder. Hello, James.
Hey, James.
We got Pat, book chat with Pat.
Pat.
And we got Dallas, stack of my own. Hello there.
Hey, Dallas.
Hey,
No
Dallas.
sugar tonight in my coffee, no sugar tonight in my tea. Yeah, that's what I got. Hello, Lee. Lee Kempter is here. Julie Hughes is here. So we're starting off with a fair crowd early on. That's a good thing.
Indeed.
That's good because we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight, and our audience isn't going to want to miss a moment of it.
That's right. And this is just flavored water.
I'll tell you what, that's one thing. I feel bad that you have to actually be in a conversation with me without any alcohol in your system. I'm much easier to take if you're drunk.
I don't think I've actually done a live show thoroughly inebriated, but maybe someday.
Yeah, I know I haven't because I haven't had a drink in 12 years. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now, I won't lie. I have had a gummy here or there.
Well, that doesn't count, really.
Yeah, I've got 2 years and change. I'd have to look on my. Let's see. I've got 852 days.
That's good.
Congratulations, Alan. That's great.
And I'll have to make sure when I'm visiting Alan later this week that I don't let him fall if he passed by any interesting Portland spots.
One day at a time, man.
I'm taking Greg on a pub crawl. St. Patrick's Day. Well, 2 pubs at least. Yeah, I don't mind going out with people. I go out with friends and that, and they have this non-alcoholic beer called Best Day that on TV they pair it with the restaurants, the good restaurants out here. They pair the different flavors with cuisine.
Okay.
Like they have a lime IPA and this da-da-da.
Well, Alan, Portland is known for its microbreweries.
Oh yeah, there's one right by your hotel.
Yeah, so I may have to sample some of the best that Portland has to offer.
Oh sure.
Hello, it's M from M Reads. Hello.
Hey Emily.
Hi, Em.
Yeah, the corner store by across the street from me is known for their like beer cave. They have like every kind of beer you can imagine in cans. You can get single ones, and the guy who worked there used to be a like connoisseur of beer. You know, he went to another store, but I know everybody works there. Anyway,
Yep.
You'll see.
Hi from St. Pete, Florida. I'm reading Europe Central for our Mammoth. Oh, I mean, William Vollmann is really a fascinating author. He does not get a lot of attention on BookTube. Does not get a lot of attention in the publishing world, really.
No,
he's a little too full of himself. It's like when he submits a manuscript to his publisher, he says, "You can't edit it. You have to leave it in."
I read his shortest book, Horse for Gloria, back in the day.
Yeah, that's actually a very good one. It introduces you very quickly to the type of books that Vollmann liked to write in his youth. I mean, I don't think he's quite that way now that he's in his early 60s, but you know. But Europe, yeah, that's a really great book. I don't know what to call it. A novel, collection of short stories, something else in between, you know, just sort of images of World War II.
Yeah, I'd like to read that. What's his other Fathers and
Crows? That's 1,000. That's takes some commitment to read. It does. Yeah. Lee says, Pat, I have 2 books for you. She's thanking you. I'll write you. I'm going to skip some of these messages of people talking back to each other. It's not skipping over you. It's just because you're having a conversation that does not need to be talked over live. Oh, he went to the Salvador Museum today. That's in St. Petersburg. It's a great museum.
I'd love to see
that. Excuse me. They have his original Lincoln portrait.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, it's a huge painting, and they do it right because they take you on a guided tour, and you come up to the portrait close in, and when you view it close in, it looks like a naked lady looking out over the sea.
Wow.
And then the guy says, "Everyone, pull out your cell phone and look at through your camera." And you look at through your camera, you see a portrait of Lincoln. And when you back away from the painting, all of a sudden the naked lady disappears and it's Lincoln.
Yeah, he's wild.
He is just an amazing.
I had his crucifixion print with like the 4 cubes on it with Jesus on my dorm room.
Yep.
You buy his posters all over. Yeah, he's great.
Yep. He's saying here they're selling Salvador Dali tarot cards.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was looking at tarot cards at Powell's. I'm going to do a book unhaul before you get here, too, so I have some credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Those are the comments. So what have you gentlemen been reading lately you want to talk about? Randy, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. I'll go. I host a book club on my channel called the Lone Star Book Club, and our book of the month this month is The Liars Club by Mary Karr. Are you guys familiar with it?
I've heard of it, but I thought I may be thinking of some other liars because I thought it was a male that wrote The Liars Club. Sort of a business.
It's about a male, largely about a male. It's about a young woman. It's a memoir by Mary Karr. She grew up in a Texas town, not far from me, actually. And she'd probably be a little bit older than I am now. But one of her claims to notoriety is she dated David Foster Wallace.
Oh.
But she grew up in a very dysfunctional household, and her memoir is about her growing up with this dysfunctional family. Her father used to hang out with a bunch of other men at a number of spots there in town. Playing dominoes, playing poker, playing billiards, whatever. Maybe the back of the general store, sometime at the barber's shop, whatever. And they would sit around and tell stories and tall tales. And her father would make stuff up. Everybody was making stuff up. But his father was always telling the biggest and the best lies. And that's why it's called the Liars Club. But the tension between, her growing up, she obviously loved her father and her mother very much, but also it's a very dysfunctional family. It makes for a remarkable read. It came out in 1995 and was a huge hit. It was on the bestseller list for over a year. And we're really enjoying that. The book club is just loving it. And I want to point out, it was Book Chat with Pat who suggested that we do this for the book club. Okay. And I don't normally take suggestions from club members about book club picks. Been burned too many times in the past. But I have nothing but faith in Book Chat with Pat and her recommendations. But that's what I've been reading most recently. That and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Are you reading just the collection adventures or the whole au revoir?
I'm redoing the entire canon again. But right now I'm skipping the novels. I'm going to come back and do the novels at the end. I want to read the short stories first. I think Holmes works best in a short story. I know that some people prefer the novels. There's only 4 canonical novels. And I don't think any of them are as good as his short stories. But that being said, the first 2 collections of short stories are The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. And the short stories go downhill real fast after those 2 also.
Cool. I mean, I'm going to be doing every year for Holmes of the Heart I'm just going to read one book. I started this year, Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So next year I'm going to do the short stories because I had read the previous 4 novels over the past 3 years, reread them. So by the time I get to the end of the short stories, it'll have been like 5 or 6 years since I read them. So I'll be ripe to reread the novels.
Did you read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes this year?
Yeah, that was the book that I read.
Okay, so did you have a favorite story?
I kind of like the Red-Headed League is a very good one.
That's my favorite too. That and the Scandal in Bohemia are my 2 favorites in that one.
Scandal in Bohemia, well, it's his most famous story.
Yeah, it was one of his favorites too. The Man with the Twisted Lip was really good too.
Yeah,
really good.
I mean, because it'd been a number of years since I've read this story, so I said, okay,
right.
And part of me is like figuring this out before, but since they're rereads, I'm not really. I mean, the clues are still in my brain somewhere in deep memory, so they just sort of surface as you're reading.
I remember his disguise in Bohemia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the big nose and that.
Well, the great books and the great thing about the Sherlock Holmes books is they always seem new. I've read, I can't tell you how many, I started reading them when I was 12 years old. I never get tired of them and they never seem old to me.
And I think I mentioned is like one of his most famous short stories, Adventure of the Speckled Band.
Yeah, the snake.
It's a great story, but he got his snake wrong. He got his biology of snakes wrong in that book. And
got it all wrong.
And the problem is, it really irks me. Now, the thing is, if you did not know anything about snakes or snake, because I studied snakes or thought I was going to be like a herpetologist when I was like in high school, go to college and study it. But so I know a little bit about them, and that helps to pick out, say, oh, no, that's not real. And so part of me goes in now, and every story says, okay, what is he fudging in these stories?
Yeah.
In the Speckled Band. I don't know, but no, you're right. Even if he fudged it in the Speckled Band, technically, it's still a great short story.
Yeah, I like it.
It really is. And it was the second locked room murder mystery.
Yeah, the second.
No, I thought he had a locked room mystery in Sign of the Four.
Okay.
And hold on. Mystery of the Yellow Room was written by a different author. Hold on. I think it was the guy who did the Phantom of the Opera, Gaston Leroux.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also did a locked room mystery, and that might have been before. I don't remember.
I knew that Edgar Allan Poe did.
Did he do a locked room mystery?
Red Mask.
No, the Mask of the Red Death is not a locked room mystery.
What's the one I'm thinking of?
You're probably thinking of the Purloined Letter, but that's not a locked room mystery.
No, I'm thinking of the Poe one. The one with the orangutan.
Murders on the Rue Morgue.
Yeah, that.
I guess that's a locked room mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, see, I always thought the Speckled Band was the original locked room mystery, but then someone corrected me on it and said it was it's actually the second one, but it looks like it's, the third or fourth.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's a very early example and it's really good.
Yeah. There is a whole collection. Otto Penzler, I think, has a collection of locked room mystery stories. And I should look it up, see if it's available on audio or, Kindle or something like that. But I think it'd be a lot. Now, I just finished a locked room mystery, and I know Lee is here, or she was here. It's called The Hojin Murders. And it's a Japanese murder mystery, originally written around 1945, 1946. And it's all about a detective being called in, and there's two people who have been murdered in this locked room. And of course, it's like, how do you uncover what it is? And I won't spoil it, but the fact that I know, as Lee was pointing out, is that the style the Japanese use and the treatment of the detective is so very different from an American novel. And that the people give the detective a whole lot of respect.
He doesn't have a gun either, does he?
What? He
doesn't have a gun.
I don't believe a gun was ever mentioned in this book being held by the detective. It's not. If he did, it was not important to the story.
Okay.
But it was good. It was good. And I remember that because the detective is going through some suspect lists. And one of the suspects has a whole shelf of murder mysteries. And some of these are these locked room murder mysteries. And he's going, that's an interesting coincidence, isn't it? So, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I have two questions for you. One's about, does Chris like snakes? What's her relationship with?
She would not like a snake.
Okay, so you can. Would you like to go to like a what do they call those, escape rooms?
No.
No.
I would not like an escape room.
I don't know if I would or not.
Alan, if you want to go, I'll go with you.
Oh, okay.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. I don't know too much about them, but.
All right, I'm going to go real briefly through our comments. Constance is here. Constance, hello.
It's Constance Campbell.
Pat says, I thought the Lone Star book would make the Liars Club be good for that. Oh, she loves the Redheaded League too. Constance loved Studying Scarlet. Dallas says Edgar Allan Poe did do a Sherlock. I don't think Edgar Allan Poe could have done a Sherlock. He was dead before Sherlock Holmes came around.
Yeah.
The Final Solution is what the name. Isn't the name of the Holmes story?
The Final Problem is the name of the Sherlock Holmes story.
Not Final Solution. Final Problem.
The Final Problem is from the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. It's the last of the memoirs, the final one in the first two collections of short stories.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a policy on spoilers for Sherlock Holmes mysteries?
Not really, but if it happens, it happens.
Well, there is some question as to how old does something have to be before it's immune to spoiler warnings, right? I mean,
Yeah,
didn't memoirs get published in something like 1895?
something in that range.
Anna Karenina has a big major spoiler in it that they kept from me for a century.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about it until I read it. That was kind of wild, but I see your point, Randy. Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil the final problem, even though it's right there in the title.
Yep.
I think the final solution is a.
That was a German thing during World War II.
Oh yeah, but isn't it?
There's also a short story.
Oh.
The Final Solution is a short story written by Michael Chabon about Sherlock Holmes.
You read that one?
He's got Alzheimer's disease, and there's a parrot involved in it somehow, and it has something to do with Nazis too.
Yes, we did a buddy read. It was me, Alan. I think Mark Book Time with Elvis did that too.
Yeah, we were.
Sounds right.
We read a bunch of Chabon novels. I've got the novels still. We haven't read Wonder Boys.
No, we need to do Wonder Boy. I mean, I don't think I can fit in Wonder Boys this year.
Oh, I could. I got wiggle room, but we can wait.
I know it's only March, and my whole year is almost. The end of the year is kind of open, but up until like end of August, it's like I have to squeeze in a book with someone else that I wasn't expecting, and we'll have to find room for it. But
yeah, I had to bump a book for next month.
So here's Dallas, and the Poe is the original. Actually, he's mentioned down there. Sorry, I meant the home. Yeah, the detective from Murders on the Rue Morgue and the Purloined Letter was sort of an influence, if I'm not mistaken, for Sherlock. When Doyle was writing the Sherlock Holmes stories. Oh, Emily likes.
Yeah, he was an influence, and Holmes even mentions him to Watson, but Holmes is denigrating of him. He says, "I really think he was a very inferior fellow." Yeah. So when I first joined BookTube, I did a buddy read with Criminale. And I don't remember the name of it, but it was the start of a brand new series. And it was a detective series that was set in the 1930s. And the main character, the detective, was a retired stage magician.
Oh man, I'd love.
And it was a throwback, and it was intentionally a classic example of locked room mysteries. Every novel was a locked room mystery that he solved, but before the climax, it did that old-fashioned thing of it'd have a chapter where the narrator would come in and say, "Okay, you have all the clues. Do you know who did it? How it happened?"
Isn't that the name Carr? I think someone mentioned author did. I think his name's Carr. I might have one of his books on my shelf somewhere up here.
Are you thinking of John Dixon Carr?
John Dixon Carr.
Yeah. Okay. This was a new series that I was reading, but John Dixon Carr, yeah, that's what he's famous for, is the locked room mystery. But this was a new set of mysteries with a new protagonist. And I read the first one with Criminale, and we both loved it. I read the second one by myself without Criminale. I don't know how many more books have been in the series, but I suspect it continued because it was really popular and they were really well written. But I can't for the life of me remember the name of the author or the books.
Well, when you do, Randy, vox me on that, if you would, because I'd like to read that. My father'd like to read those.
Yeah, too, well, someone in the chat room can probably just do a Google search saying "mystery locked room new" and
with magician,
and it'll probably come up. And they can put in the comments.
I could do that. But I like to make Randy work.
Randy would do it on his computer here at his desk. He said, "Randy can no longer see a computer screen. My vision's gotten pretty bad." So,
oh shoot,
that's too bad.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's not fun at all. But luckily, I can still read on a Kindle as long as I turn the background screen black and make the font size really large.
Well, that's a good thing about a Kindle is like.
But I'll be reduced to audiobooks before long if I'm not careful.
Well, we have a blind booktuber. I think he's been blind from birth. I'm not positive, but he's like fully blind now, and he's like he pulls such amazing analysis of books, and he just does audiobooks, of course, because he's blind.
We have more than one. There's a young woman that's blind that's also a booktuber, but I don't remember her name.
Okay.
I'm good friends with a man who is a blind artist. He's a painter, and he's absolutely amazing. He lost his sight at the age of 30. He's got epilepsy, but he can tell the different colors of the paint by the texture.
Oh, man. That's wild.
Yeah, it's really cool. His name is John Bramblitt, Bramblitt. We're really good friends. And if you Google him and take a look at some of his paintings, you'll never believe that that was painted by someone who was blind.
My wife and I have a painting in our house of a man who has no arms.
Oh, you do?
Yep. It was painted entirely with his feet holding brushes. And it's amazing. I mean, he paints better with his feet than I do with my fingers. So,
yeah. Yeah, I bet. Huh.
Humanity is an amazing species.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you need to do something, you'll learn a way.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Conjure says, do not spoil, not cool. 7% Solution. That is the Nicholas Meyer book that I read last year.
That's a great one.
It was a good one.
That's a real favorite of mine. Yeah, that was that really ushered in a bunch of enthusiasm for pastiches. And not long after that, they wrote a book called Enter the Lion, which was written by Michael Hodel. And Enter the Lion's really interesting because it's a Mycroft Holmes novel. Yeah, it was a really good book. Yeah, Sherlock Holmes' smarter brother.
And then Dallas saying reading Stephen King short stories again. A few of them are about teachers encountering demon students, and I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, King wrote a Sherlock Holmes short story. I've not even read that.
Did he write one? I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
He did the thing. A lot of people do this. It's a running gag in the stories that Watson will name 3 or 4 mysteries or investigations that he has never recorded. And the names of these lost cases often get picked up by pastiche writers, and King's story is one of those.
Okay. I don't know what collection of stories it's in.
I don't remember which one it's in either, but
I think it's in the Dreamscapes and
okay. I don't have Dreamscapes, but I can get one.
Nightmares and Dreamscapes.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. I remember it was really good. I mean, he nailed the voice. The problem with a lot of these pastiche novels is, Sherlock Holmes stories, and they follow a formula. It's a very specific formula, too. I made a video about it. And these guys write these pastiches. A pastiche is supposed to imitate the original author, but they just completely ignore the way Arthur Conan Doyle wrote these stories and write it their own way. And it's like, it's not even a pastiche anymore, guy.
You're just borrowing the characters.
That's right. That to me is not a pastiche. That's just I'm too lazy to create a character of my own, but if you really want to write a pastiche, come on, man, follow the formula. It's more fun that way.
Well, let's say you wanted to do a Holmes story from the point of view of a client.
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't follow the it could sort of follow the formula, but I don't. But
that'd be a tricky one.
It'd be an interesting twist if someone was good at it,
Well, there's certainly elements of the formula that you could incorporate in there. That wouldn't necessarily eliminate it because not all of the stories are narrated by Watson. 2 or 3 of the stories are narrated by Holmes.
Yeah, I can't remember which ones those are.
One of them is The Lion's Mane, but I don't remember the other 2. If there are indeed other two, it may just be one. I don't remember.
I thought there
I
was
used
only
to know
one.
these things.
My memory says there's one.
It's more than one.
More than one. Okay. I could be wrong.
You know what? I could be wrong. There may be one that was written in the third person and neither of them narrated. That may be what I'm thinking of. But I'll find out after we get off the call here. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, definitely bring it up next year so we can read it. And
yeah,
I mean, I could read it if they're in the volumes 1 and 2. I could read it now. But,
if you have the 2 paperback volumes, it's in there. Those are all the Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Stephen King started off his career as a school teacher.
Yeah.
So M says, glad to hear the Kindle still works for you, Randy. I like the idea of these new color soft ones, but I feel like I might prefer your paper long. Well, Emily, I have one of the new color softs, and eventually I'm going to trade it in for just a paper white. And the reason is, I mean, it's kind of a neat idea thinking about seeing all these covers in color. But honestly, it does not improve the reading experience long-term for me. Now, if you read, obviously graphic novels or manga, that's important. Also, if you like to take highlighted notes, you can highlight your notes in different colors, saying, this is me speculating, this is me saying it's a fact. If you're that kind of note taker, it might be worth it for that reason. But if I want to highlight something, I don't care what color I highlight in.
Well, I use a Kindle Fire. I don't even think they call them the Kindle Fire anymore. I think they just call them the Fire now. But it's in color, and I read comic books on there, and it's fine for my purposes. The battery wears out really fast. It's basically just a cheap tablet, though. I have not had the experience of using the new Kindle Color Soft at all, or the new Kindle Paperwhite either, for that matter.
Me neither.
Oh, Randy, you're talking about your eyes, and you have to do the contrast to dark cream light text on your Kindle Fire. You should try to borrow someone or see someone who has a regular Kindle, and see if you think that's better for your eyes than your backlighted screen.
Yeah, I probably should. Well, I've actually got some money coming in shortly, and I'm going to be able to see an eye doctor.
Okay.
And so hopefully that'll make the point moot.
Yeah.
With any luck.
So Randy does all the finger painting. Does it use a brush? Just looked up Bramblett the painter. Incredible stuff.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah, and he's also the most charming guy you'll ever meet in your life. I didn't believe he was blind when I met him. I went to his house. I was friends with his wife first. His wife was best friends with a girlfriend of mine. The oft-mentioned Sweet Lollipop is what I call her on the air. But anyway, Sweet Lollipop's best friend is John Bramblett's wife. And the first time I went to their house, we're watching movies in the backyard on the big screen TV. And John was just bringing everybody sandwiches and drinks. And, he was just walking around the house like he could see as well as anybody else. And it's just that he knows where everything is.
Yeah. Yeah, blind people are amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Yeah, we've gone to Shakespeare in the Park several times together, too, and that's always big fun. Wow. But my health has gotten poor since then, and now we don't go to Shakespeare in the Park anymore.
Yeah, I wish we had a Shakespeare in the Park close by to me. There's one in Astoria what am I thinking about? I think it's down south, Oregon.
No, I think there is one right on the line, Washington-Oregon line.
Oh, that's Astoria then.
Astoria.
Yeah.
When I was living in Washington, my wife and I were thinking of going to one of these festivals once and never got around to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's closer than I thought. But
it's actually interesting. You wouldn't think this, but the Dallas Shakespeare Festival is the name of it now, and that's actually been the official name of it since it launched in 1970. It's not free anymore. But when it was still free, it was the second oldest free Shakespeare festival in the country.
I believe that.
The first one was New York.
Yeah.
New York, the Shakespeare Festival, Shakespeare in the Park in New York was the first free Shakespeare festival, but Dallas was number 2.
Okay.
So who knew we could be so cultured out here in Texas, but we are sometimes.
Well, I mean, Texas gets a lot of bad press in the news sometimes, but you have like Dallas and Austin, which are just, I think would be a fabulous place to live in either one of those little cities. But apparently the traffic I heard in Austin is just atrocious.
Oh, now,
terrible. The worst in the country.
I like San Antonio. San Antonio's a cute town with the
beautiful
Alamo.
town.
Yeah, with the river walk, and they have like a Piccadilly thing.
I've been to the Riverwalk. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful. I went there like 20 years ago, a long time ago, but it was wonderful.
You go to the Alamo?
I don't remember.
I've been to the Alamo. Stayed at the historic Menger Hotel right next to the Alamo. And it's really cool because Oscar Wilde had visited the bar there, and there's a plaque there.
Yeah.
And the Menger is famous for their mango-flavored ice cream, which is a favorite of Bill Clinton's.
Yeah, it's a cool town. I like it.
The Alamo is really small too. Everybody always says, yeah, it's really, really small. And you hear that and you think, it's small, but until you see it, you don't realize just how small it is.
Yeah. Got to take your
I
head
have no
off.
memory of the Alamo. So
you have to take your head off before you go in.
Yep.
So Dallas is genuinely curious. I can't imagine going back to ebook notes. I would find that a hassle. Does anyone find utility in making an effort to go back to reviewing your ebook notes? I rarely take notes anyway when I'm reading. It's just not the kind of reader that I am. So
I don't have any problem taking notes on my reader or reading them, but I don't take copious notes on them. I guess I do have problems taking notes on there because the typing functionality on the Kindle, I think, is really poor. On my phone, it's fine, but on the actual Kindle device, the typing, the auto predict is just terrible. I discovered something on the Kindle device today, and I've been a Kindle user since it launched way back in 2014 or something. But I discovered a function called X-ray that I had never used before. And it's really cool. Do you guys know about this function?
I know, but I don't use it that often, but maybe I should be using it more because it could really help you remember parts of the book that are not super solid in your memory.
It's really cool, man. I had no idea. I found a bunch of stuff on my Kindle e-reader that I didn't realize was there. Word Runner was there. And it's pretty impressive, some of the things that I didn't know about.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But yeah, the X-ray is particularly useful when you're reading one of those really long Victorian novels with like 80 characters, because, if you forget who a character is, which you're bound to do, you can just look in X-ray and it shows you all the mentions of them throughout the story. And suddenly, oh yeah, that guy.
I could have used that more when I was reading Gravity's Rainbow. It's like all those characters that disappear for a couple of pages and they come back. It's like, oh, I've been away for 200 pages. I didn't know that. Like, all right. So let's get to Alan. Alan, what have you been reading?
I've had a great week. I've had to bump. What is this? Circle of Days, a newish Ken Follett book from 2024. Reading Crying of Lot 49 in a group with Greg. Greg's plowed through it already. I'm keeping up with the group. I'm just on chapter 4, but I know why you do it, Greg, and that's cool. Let's see. Bloody reading S.A. Cosby, All the Sinners Bleed, with my dad. And I'm having to go a little slower than I like with this. I read half of it. I listened to half of it, then I started over. So, and it's just a crime fiction, but it's great. Loving it. Reading some poems by Alice Oswald, this new and selected ones. You ever hear of her? She's been around for a while.
No.
Aaron Facer turned me on to her. Then my deep dive into Yeats with Pat. This is the Yeats reader. I've had a few copies of this and I've given them away. So I bought it again, and I have Ellman's biography, Richard Ellman's of Yeats over there when I'm reading it at night. And throwing some I Ching.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of there's 3 ways to do it. I just do it with the coins and do that in the morning and at night for the next day and just checking it out.
Okay.
Changes. Then got a lot of BookTube mail this week and did videos on that.
That's cool. Okay, for me, about 2 weeks ago, I did a tag where it was from Cliff Stark Gems, and he was asking, where would you actually want to live? You know,
What tag was that?
What?
What tag?
That was Travel the World tag. I tagged you in it.
Oh, God, my memory.
Yeah. Well, one of the tags was where is a place that you'd want to live in.
Oh.
And the way he described it, you'd say like, "Oh, I want to live in this desert or on that island." But I said I wanted to live along the Champs-Élysées in Paris.
Nice.
And so I had to pick a. I'll say so. When I mentioned to my wife, I said, "Wouldn't it be great to live along the Champs-Élysées?" She said, "No, I don't want to live in a city. I don't like cities, but." Husband and wives complaining to each other. We're fine. But I had to pick a book about Paris. So I picked A Movable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. All about all about his time in Paris between 1921 and 1926. Gertrude Stein. He met Ezra Pound, F. Scott Fitzgerald.
I think Joyce was around.
Joyce was around. They mentioned seeing him eating, but they didn't want to approach him. That's about as much Joyce as he got in there. But I reread the book. I had not read it in like 15, 20 years. I said, wait, it's sitting on my shelf.
Huh?
So I reread A Movable Feast. And parts of that book are just utter brilliance. You can see why Ernest Hemingway is such an admirable author. And you can also see why he's such a terrible author also at the same time. He's very off-putting, his personality, you would think, but when he's writing on the top, he can really nail a scene like no other author, but a lot of it was going, okay, I get it, but still. I haven't
read it.
You've never read A Movable Feast?
No, I've owned it before. We should do like a Hemingway thing in 2027, 28. Go ahead, Greg.
Invite Steve Donahue.
Sure.
Steve Donahue just did a review of a Hemingway biography. And oh my God, he trashes Hemingway as an author.
Oh, he does?
He hates Hemingway the way he hates Stephen King. The way he hates Faulkner, the way he hates James Joyce.
Wow, my kind of guy.
He really, the amount of authors he really dislikes is amazing.
And you didn't like the biography, huh?
No, he says the biography is perfect. He says the biography is a wonderful biography. It's a great biography to read, but he just doesn't like the writer, Hemingway. Doesn't like a man. But no, I mean, we could do a Hemingway month. I don't know. My favorite are his short stories. Still, I still think he was at his best form in his short stories.
Yeah, like Up in Michigan.
I liked some of his early novels, but his later novels, I mean, I've not read some of them are just, I mean, Brian at Bookish like rips apart Across the Trees, Across the River and Into the Trees is a book. He just rips that book apart.
Oh.
I mean, he says, my God, this book it's a parody of himself. But still, okay, so I read that. And I'm reading this with Alan. This is Crying a Lot 40. This is only 183 pages. It took me 2 days to read. And I know I'm reading it much faster. But the thing is, when I'm reading a book, I can't stop reading the book at page 60, go read another book for 60 pages, and then come back to this and read 40 pages and go read another book for 80 pages. I don't do well flipping back and forth between books.
Especially Pynchon, yeah.
And
now, how many pages is that?
183.
Mine's 152.
I bet you have smaller print than me. But actually, what I did is I have this copy, and then I checked my library. My library had a Kindle copy. So I just borrowed the Kindle copy and read it on my Kindle instead of my paperback.
You know what I did? I was waiting for the audio from Libby, and I go, oh, shit, it's not going to hit in time. So I had 3 credits on Audible, and I go, I'll spend one, you know. And then as soon as I did, next day it popped up with Libby. So I returned it. They let me return it.
I also listened to the audiobook while reading this. And it helps pace the book. Because I first read the first chapter of this book, just reading it on Kindle. And I said, what was that chapter about?
The first chapter is a bitch.
It is. So what I did is I just got the audiobook and started from page 1 again. It's only like 18 pages, so it's not like a big commitment of rereading. But
right.
Out of all the books that I have read by Pynchon, I have read V, Crying of Lot 49, Gravity's Rainbow, Vineland, Inherent Vice, and Shadowland.
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite.
Oh,
Against the Day. I forgot Against the Day.
Oh, yeah. You forget that?
I think this is my favorite because I think Thomas Pynchon was really focused while writing this book. It has no excess padding to it. The way Gravity's Rainbow has a lot of padding. Against the Day has a lot of padding.
Yeah.
So there's no padding in this book. So that's why I think it works really well. And once I got to at the end of the last chapter, I'm going, oh, wow. This is what Pynchon is trying to do with this whole conspiracy. This is what he's trying to focus on. And I almost started reading it again. Because because a book hits you at the end. I got it. Finally got what Pynchon was trying to say. So maybe the group's going to disagree with me.
I'll finish it in a day or two too.
I'll just read it. I mean,
and also I'm reading Trinity. I forgot Trinity.
Oh yeah, I'm doing Trinity. I'm just doing Trinity as an audiobook. Just plain I'm not even bothering the text. Just listening to the audiobook.
Me too. And what I'm finding, Greg, though, like when I read it, I got into it a lot more. I think I'm kind of missing a lot reading it or listening to it always. Sometimes long audiobooks are like that if I'm not reading along.
Mm-hmm.
And you listen to it on your walks and that. I listen to it while I'm out and about too. Mine's a lot noisier than yours. Sometimes I have to stop listening. I can't even hear.
That happens occasionally when I'm outdoor walking. That there's a couple cars going by, or they're mowing the lawn, and I just
Oh yeah.
I just click off turn the ear off for a couple minutes and then get out of range of the noise and start it up again.
Yeah,
But no,
I forgot about the lawn mowers, the big ones.
yeah, really enjoyed this one.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like good.
And I was going to say, it's like I said, it's so short. Just read it. I know, Alan, you've committed yourself to reading a number of books and you're reading them all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people can do that, but for me, I just have, I do best with one audiobook and one physical or digital book.
How many books do you have going at one time, Alan?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 if you count the poetry, 6 is I Ching. But the I Ching is just a kind of a go-to reference.
Right.
So 5.
5's too much.
Poem.
I remember the first year I came from Washington to Virginia. There was in the beginning of the year I signed up for, and I was reading like 6 books at once, trying to get my day. Okay, I got to read this book, this page, and it was just like no, my brain was just like exploding because it just.
Well, for the Yeats, I read a couple plays, and they're short plays or old ones.
Short stories are fine. I mean, I read a short story every day, but that does not interfere because you just read the beginning and what.
But no, go ahead. It sounds like I'm reading a lot, but there's like only 1, 2, like 3 stories I'm trying to pay attention to. And I'm going slow with Pynchon. But I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you again.
Oh no, don't worry. So let me I'm basically done with what I'm reading. So let me catch up with some comments. Leslie, Books, Gurs, and Purrs, all the way from LA.
I love that way.
Of cool books. Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you in Fine Fiddle. Lee reminded me we're planning on, Randy, you might be interested. We're planning on doing some Alexander Dumas in 2027.
Nice.
Who is?
Well, Lee wants to join in. I want to join in. I don't know if you're going to join in, Alan.
You're going to read the Count?
I think she was thinking of doing the D'Artagnan romances.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like way too much for me.
Well, I'm in.
This would be like a year-long project. First quarter read Three Musketeers.
Well, if Randy's in so fast.
Second quarter,
I'm in.
20 years, and now 10 years after is usually translated as 3 or 4 books, because I think the original French is like 2,000 pages or something like that. It's like enormous.
Well, I love Count of Monte Cristo. I read that in the joint. That was like a prized possession. I was a librarian, and
I bet that was a popular one.
Oh yeah. I can imagine. All the way. How many years did it take to scribble that hole in the stones? To it's like 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yep. So Lee, definitely we're definitely thinking about that. We got to do some research on what are some of the best translations. Although I presume if we do the group, we're not going to be fussy about translations. If you want to read in French, read it in French or whatever.
Some Frenchy.
Okay. So I have an anecdote about a translation.
Hold on, let me. Greg, you appreciate this. I have my parents' first edition of A Movable Feast. Now that is awesome.
Nice.
That's really awesome. Now, I mean 1966, so a little older, not quite as old as me, but still, that's pretty cool. All right, Randy, you're saying something about translation.
Yeah. So I have an in-person book club that I host at my house, as well as one that I host online. Last year in the online book club, we read Dracula. And I was going to read Dracula as part of my in-person book club this year. But one of my book club members is very smart. and very knowledgeable, and said, "Why don't we read Powers of Darkness instead?" Are you guys familiar with Powers of Darkness?
No.
No.
Dracula was translated into the Swiss language, and the translator decided that he was going to rewrite Dracula to suit his specifications. So he completely rewrote the book and made major changes to the plots and the characters. So it's a completely alternate version of Dracula, the novel.
Wow.
I'm looking it up
It's no
right now.
longer.
Here it's
I'm
called
sorry?
Powers of Darkness, the lost version of Dracula
Ooh,
by
wow.
Bram Stoker.
That's going to be book club material this year, and I'm really excited about it. And you know, I don't want to spoil anything, and I can't spoil much because I haven't read it. But one of the examples of the changes that he made was, you know, one of my favorite parts of Dracula, and I think it is for most people, is the beginning where Jonathan Harker is alone at Castle Dracula with Dracula.
Yep.
In Powers of Darkness, he is not alone in the castle with Dracula. There are multiple guests there with Dracula, and they're having little banquets and weird stuff going on with all these other guests too. And I understand that it is not told. I guess Dracula is an epistolary novel,
Yeah.
but the Swiss translator, when he translated it, he took it out of the epistolary format too. So it's not an epistolary novel anymore. It's just told in the third person.
Okay.
But I'm dying to see what this is all about.
I read Dracula with you. Was it just last year or like the last?
Just last year, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you should do that. Your book group is set for the year, isn't it?
You know, I think it is, but I don't remember what I had picked out for October. You know, we can always change it.
I know I'm joining you in Hyperion. I'm definitely joining you for Hyperion.
I'm looking forward to Hyperion. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to Hyperion.
Is that a reread for you too?
It's not a reread for me. It'll be my first time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, I've got my reading planned out for the rest of the year, but I'm still trying to decide about October and Powers of Darkness because, you know, it might be a terrible book too. I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
I don't know. But I guess if you're translating, no one's going to know. Like you hired a Swedish translator and.
Well, you know, how important was the Swiss translation of Dracula at the time anyway to the people who cared, you know, probably not high on their list of priorities.
Probably not.
But yeah, I was fascinated by it. My friend Forrest Jackson, he's a antique bookseller friend of mine from Dallas. He's also a bookbinder. He made me a beautiful homemade edition of Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu with a no, it's not a rattlesnake cover. It's a goatskin cover.
Oh.
He had originally gotten me a copy of a book about rattlesnakes by J. Frank Dobie for my birthday. And he had a friend who was really into rattlesnakes and J. Frank Dobie that he wanted to give that book to instead. So he traded me a copy of Carmilla with the green goatskin cover. It's a really beautiful edition. And I hadn't read that until last year, but I loved it. Of course, I didn't read the edition that he made for me because it's handmade and beautiful, but it's really cool because you can see the spine on the leather. You can see where the spine was on the goat.
Cool, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, very odd, very cool.
You mentioned Hyperion, huh?
Yep.
When are you gonna reread it?
I think it's August.
I think it's August, but I could be mistaken. I don't have the list right in front of me.
All right.
Your comment, Randy, is awfully quiet. Randy, really enjoyed your comment etiquette video. I've been lucky with my comments.
That was a fun video to make. Obviously, somebody struck a nerve in the comments that day.
Yeah. I've been relatively fortunate in most of my comments. I do have one troll who frequently pops up and he's always insulting me. And I'm going, I thought about banning him, But my idea is if you want to come in and engage and insult me, I don't really care. It'd be different if he were coming in and insulting other people and making, really derogatory remarks about someone else or some author. Then I'd probably cut them off. But if you just want to insult me, I mean, okay. And there's one
funny. He's funny.
I don't care. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, I think the best way to deal with a lot of trolls is just to ignore them.
I got an interesting one, and Brian had made it like a little community post because I got one, and then Angelia got one too, and I guess Roz did too.
Me too.
You got one too, Randy?
Oh yeah.
Saying, "Yo, tell your boy Brian Bruce to stop harassing me." And I left it up there for a day or two and contacted Brian. He got back to me. And by that time, Pat had already told me the story. And I just didn't comment to him, just blocked him. That's the best you can do, to piss somebody off.
After I blocked him, someone else showed up and said, "Why did you block William Gass? He's never done anything to you." And I blocked him too.
God, man, that guy must be crazy.
I mean, the thing is, why would someone who hates my videos watch all of my videos? Because there is someone who always gives me a downvote no matter what video I make.
Oh, really?
All my videos get a down, or at least not, I mean, almost all of them get at least one downvote.
I don't even know where to check that.
You probably can't see it on a phone. You probably need a regular size computer to check that. But, I mean, why? I mean, why would someone be so obsessed with me to watch everything?
They're probably not watching it. They're just clicking like dislike. And I think that only affects their algorithm, doesn't it? It's
the algorithm doesn't care. If you like it or dislike it, the algorithm says people are interacting. That's all they care about. Because sometimes the best interaction is negative interaction, depending on your subject.
So I can tell you what triggered the etiquette video. About 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, I got a comment that said, "Randy, you're my favorite booktuber. You've got the best personality, and I never miss any of your videos. I think you're absolutely fantastic. You're better than anyone else that I watch. I never miss any of your videos, but I only read nonfiction, and you're always talking about novels and fiction. And I think fiction is stupid." And I'm like, well, okay. I don't understand why you would watch my channel then if you're not interested in fiction, but okay, thanks for your feedback. He shows back up again 2 weeks later. And I'm not really bothered by this. I just think it's odd, but he shows back up again 2 weeks later. The same thing, except longer. That first paragraph, you would think that I walked on water. He said so many nice things about me. But then he said, "But I have a few suggestions for your channel." He had 5 numbered paragraphs.
Oh my God.
Telling me how to change how I was running my channel. One of the first things was that I'd recently been publishing too many videos about the philosophy of reading and motivational reading, how to keep yourself motivated, how to, that I needed to stop publishing those because they're boring and people don't like them. But of course, I can see my analytics and I know that those are the most popular videos that I make. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I'm not there to serve this one person. I have an audience, and thank you for this, of 4,000 people now. So that was one of the changes he wanted me to make. One of the other changes he wanted me to make was that he said that I sit in the same position, in the same set every time I make a video, and that I should have multiple sets where I'm recording my videos. And it's like, man, I don't know if you've ever watched another BookTube channel, but almost every BookTuber films in exactly the same place every time they make a video.
I mean, there are occasions when I will switch it up.
You really should have multiple sets, so Greg. You should work on those multiple sets.
Okay, and one of the other things he wanted me to do was, okay, so I occasionally put a little bit of a jump cut in my video by pausing the recording while I take a sip of water or refresh my notes or whatever. And it looks like a jump cut as you're watching it. That happens maybe 4 or 5 times in a video. And my understanding is that from a viewer's perspective, the average viewer's perspective, that psychologically maintains interest because it just looks visually different. I don't know. I don't care one way or the other. But he told me that that was an absolutely terrible thing and that it turns readers off. And I need to stop doing that right away.
Check. Let me get my notebook.
Right. So the guy obviously just wants to be a backseat driver and tell me how to run my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And he contradicts himself. So, I started writing a response in the comments that said, look, jackass, when I want to know how to run my channel according to you, I will beat the information out of you.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it and I realized that would make me feel good for all of 10 seconds and then I would regret it. So I posted, thank you for your feedback, but I'm going to continue to post about the philosophy of the reading lifestyle. And I'm going to continue to post about fiction because that is the lifeblood of my channel. That's what my channel is about.
Mm-hmm.
And it just occurred to me, it was just incredibly rude and condescending to come in and tell me how much you love my channel and then spend an inordinate amount of time telling me how to change every aspect of how I run my channel. And it's like, man, I don't care if you dislike the way I run my channel. Don't watch. It's cool, baby. There's plenty of booktubers to watch. Go watch one that you like. But that's what triggered that video. I thought it makes for a funny anecdote.
The thing is, there are so many different types of channels. And some people comment and say, you don't have enough critical analysis of the books that you read.
Right.
And I go, I'm not a college professor.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that, Greg.
I don't do critical analysis. And one woman says, you're not a very snazzy dresser. You should sharpen your dressing up.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I got one of those. Okay.
I get shit in the mail, man. I don't get, I get good comments and stuff in the mail, but go ahead.
But no, it's like
I got a comment and it started off, I hate to say this, but it has to be said. You need to smarten up a little bit. You need to brush your hair and you need to try changing your shirt once in a while. And what this viewer doesn't know is I have 5 identical white t-shirts that I really like. That's why I bought 5 of them. And so I wear a clean t-shirt every day, but it looks like I'm wearing the same shirt over and over again. And it's like, who cares anyway? This isn't a fashion show. It's a book salon. We're talking about books. Harold Bloom never brushed his hair either.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of young book talkers or whatever who are all snazzy in their fine clothes and they look, I spent $500 on this shirt. I look good in it.
Well, I told you guys I was late because I was trying to get my makeup right and didn't have time to do anything.
We appreciate the effort you put in.
The thing is, I'm okay with it. It takes all types. And I did one video of my favorite book covers. And I held up pulpy mysteries, horror books. And one said, well, obviously your channel is not for me.
Jeez.
And, right?
Maybe it's not for you.
The sooner we figure that out, the better. It's just like dating.
Man, I would have.
The sooner we realize we're not meant for each other, the better.
There's this comedian I just found last night. He's Ben Palmer, I think, and he's like a troll. He trolled a congressman all the way to meetings with Michelle Bachmann and all this. Anyway, he does this stuff on Facebook too. But God, like that one lady who said you're stupid or whatever, I would have found out if she had a channel herself and trolled her back. But man, these people go to the effort of making even troll number 2 channel so they can comment when they get blocked. And yeah, crazy, man.
It's like, seriously, you don't have anything better to do.
No.
I can't get angry with someone like that because I'm too busy feeling sorry for them.
You made me laugh out loud, Randy. Right? You need to have multiple sets. Multiple sets.
I have no reason why someone would want to watch my
This
channel.
ain't Hollywood, man.
So let me get some comments in here. Jeff's case. I wish I had some of my dear grandmother's books. She had a bunch of cool vintage paperback Gothic suspense novels that I didn't think of much at the time. But yeah, that'd be fun. Now, here's one for all of us. I think we should all try to answer this one. This is from Dallas. Greg and anyone else, what is the shortest short story you've read and which is the longest? Who wants to tackle this one first?
The shortest is Hemingway.
Okay, what's the shortest short story?
Let me try to get this straight. It's oh shit. Isn't it like for sale, baby carriage, unused?
Baby shoes, never worn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's it.
Hemingway.
Baby shoes, never worn. Yeah.
The thing is, that's not really a short story. Not really, but
see how I twisted it in my head? So baby stroller.
Well, baby carriage never used is sort of the
Your
same
version
thing.
was just as good.
It is. You got the same
Yours
version.
is better than shortest. Like Jesus wept.
But for a real short story, I think Richard Matheson's Born of Man and Woman. It's about 2 pages long.
Oh, I got a real answer for this too, but go ahead.
So it's a great short story. Again, it's 2.5 pages, maybe 3 pages, something along that. And then I have another. Again, it may not be a short, maybe a prose poem, but it's by this Cuban homosexual author, and he wrote a 1-page story called Insomnia.
Huh.
About how difficult it is for someone to get to sleep. And it's really rather an amazing short. I mean, again, prose poem more than short story.
Flash fiction.
Yeah, and like Dallas says, what's the longest? Well, when does a short story become a novella?
Hey, have you read the short story Pin by McCammon? Pin, P-I-N?
I might have read it, but I don't remember it off the top
of
my head.
It's the last one in Blue Dreams.
Well, I have Blue Dreams, but I don't remember the story specifically.
It's the last one where he takes a pin and pokes his own eyeball. That's really short.
Okay.
No spoiler.
Yeah, Alan's good at spoiling.
It's such a short story. It's only like 1.5 pages long. Check it out. Pin.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've read almost all McCammon.
McCammon's great.
He has a lot of. Now, the thing is, I read almost all of his books up until a book called, I think it was Gone South.
That's a good book.
And then he stopped writing for like 10 or 15 years.
I think it was almost 20. It was a long time.
It was a long time. And he described it as he was writing not a horror novel, not a thriller novel, historical novel about a circus in Europe or something like that. And I think his publisher was just giving him grief. Like, why are you writing this? And he just said, fuck it. I got enough money.
Right.
And he stopped writing. And then eventually, I guess he got to the bug and he started, I missed it. I missed that writing. And he started writing again. And he's come up with a whole bunch of sort of historical murder mysteries set in Puritan New England, I think it is.
Yeah, they call them Matthew Corbett stories.
Yes, I've always wanted to read those, but I never have.
I haven't read any of them yet, but you know what? Robert McCammon has enough cred with me for everything he wrote in the 80s and 90s that I'd be willing to give it a chance in a heartbeat.
Maybe you should put it on your 2027 Lone Star.
You know what? I will. Thank you.
That's a good idea. I mean, I have not read it either, and
That's a great idea.
I'd love to read one.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You know, I started reading Robert McCammon. Well, you know, I was kind of a book snob when I was a teenager, and I was a science fiction fan. So I thought Robert Heinlein and Isaac Asimov were just the shizzle. And I looked down my nose at Stephen King until I bought a Stephen King novel for $0.25 at a garage sale and read it and thought, oh my God, this guy's amazing. Then I bought another Stephen King novel for $0.25. I still remember the novels. The first one was Salem's Lot. And the second one was The Dead Zone.
Yeah.
But they blew my mind. I just loved them. And I became a Stephen King fanatic. And then when I was 19 years old, I lost my virginity to this beautiful woman. I'm not going to mention her name because I don't want to embarrass her. But she, she lived in an apartment next to a 7-Eleven. And in those days, you could buy paperback novels at the 7-Eleven.
Oh, yeah.
So we would walk over there, and she would buy a pack of Marlboro 100s and a Robert McCammon novel. And
what kind of girl?
They looked to me. I'm sorry?
My kind of girl.
Okay, so they looked. Yeah, she was terrific. She's still terrific, by the way. But so they looked to me like knockoffs of Stephen King novels. They looked like cheap ripoffs of Stephen King novels. She had a book called They Thirst, which was obviously his knockoff of Salem's Lot. There was a book called Swan Song, which was about the apocalypse. That was obviously his version of The Stand. And so I looked down my nose at him until one weekend I didn't have anything to read, and I picked one up and I read it, and I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And so I've learned not to be a book snob.
Yeah, McCammon's
every time I'm mistaken when I'm a book snob.
And I even like his like Gone South and Boys Town, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love Southern writers. I even remember a scene in there about a naked guy in the town. I think it's in Gone South. The naked guy and just walking around. But Swan Song too is killer.
Swan Song was great, wasn't it? I just love Swan Song.
I read that.
I might put that on my list next year too.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to do two McCammons though.
I would read either one of those.
Although speaking of Swan Song and The Stand, I read a book with Brandy, the Book Eclectic. We did a buddy read of a book called Wanderers by Chuck Wendig. Are you guys familiar with Chuck Wendig at all?
I have it on my Kindle. I don't think I think I've read one of his books, but the title's escaping me.
Let me tell you something. Wanderers, absolutely terrific. Absolutely amazing book. It was so good. We both agreed that we didn't want to buddy read the second book in the series immediately after the first book because we wanted to take some time to digest it, and we didn't want to run through all of Chuck Wendig's stuff really fast. We wanted to take our time. But we finished Wanderers, and it was so good. We both absolutely loved it. And we waited a day or two, and we said, oh, to hell with it. We're going to go ahead and read Wayward too. So one of my mammoths that I'm reading for March of the Mammoths, and I'm reading 3 books for March of the Mammoths this year, believe it or not. One of those is called Wayward, and it's the second book in the Wanderers trilogy. But it's similar to The Stand by Stephen King or Swan Song by Robert McCammon, but it's literally better than both.
That's Wanderers.
Yes, it's called Wanderers.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I just looked it up. I bought a copy in 2020. It was on sale.
It's terrific. There's one trigger warning. There is a scene of male-on-male violent sex.
Okay.
And that's a trigger warning, not a spoiler. And you know what? The rest of the book is so good that to me, that didn't bother me much. I mean, I didn't enjoy reading it. I don't think I was supposed to, but you know, I'm not going to not read the book because of it either. The rest of the book was just absolutely, utterly fantastic. I loved every minute of it. Great characterization. His pacing is as good as anything I've seen from a modern author. Yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough, guys.
Okay. I'll have to put it on my list maybe for next year. All right, a couple more comments. We're getting a little behind. 64 from Movable Feast. That's I'm kind of behind.
Yeah.
Published by his widow. Paris, Love You, 2006, a collection of short films with international cast, each taking place in a different state. Street in Paris is excellent. Okay. I'm probably talking about me reading Wanting to Live on Champs-Elysees.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm behind. I always fall behind.
That's all right. It's not easy reading all the comments.
No. Libro says, I like Hemingway's Death in the Afternoon and For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Hey, Libro.
And he says, Faulkner is the most influential American author abroad, from German to French filmmakers, French authors. He is huge in Latin America. His name on his books are often mentioned by writers here.
Yes. Who made that comment? Libro?
Libro Paradiso.
Yep, there you go. Join
Tom
us,
Waits tells me he's big in Japan.
So
join us this Faulkner in August when we read.
We're doing Intruder in the Dust this year.
Yeah. Is it courtroom or I know it's legal.
Farrah was here, or Farrah is here. I don't know if he's still here. Well, hello, Farrah.
Hi, Farrah. If you're still here, thanks for coming by.
I can't believe all these rude commented. What's up with the? Like I said, I think they
I'll
just.
tell you a secret. Courtroom drama is my favorite genre.
Oh. You like Scott Thoreau and
Scott Thoreau is absolutely
yeah,
I worship the paper he writes on. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
John Grisham, yeah. But Scott Thoreau just doesn't write a bad sentence.
We reread one book earlier this year?
We sure did.
January.
We sure did.
No, it's pretty good.
It was in the Presumed Innocent series. I think we read Presumed Guilty.
Yeah. No, we didn't read. We did a shorter one.
No, you're right. We did do a shorter one. It wasn't one of the Rusty Savage books at all.
No, Rusty Savage appeared briefly in the book, but not much.
Yeah, he's a minor character. That's right. He had a cameo.
He had a
Great character. I love Rusty Savage as a character, though.
Great name.
Oh yeah. Everything Scott Thoreau does is terrific, though. I haven't finished all of them, and I'm really glad because he hasn't written that many books, and I don't want to finish his books. I want there to always be another Scott Thoreau novel for me to pick up. So,
all right. I mean, this guy should just leave it. Make your own channel if you want to do it. Not as easy as you think. It's not easy. Of course, he's not here watching this, but a lot of us book creators probably know it's not easy.
Yeah, I'm making friends with some new booktubers that are in other countries. One is Ireland, one's like Thailand, and they're all gung ho and putting out videos like every day, and you can tell they're all hyped up. And I'm going, yeah, okay, cool. You just wait.
Let's see what you're doing a year from now.
That up forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
It's sad that the mean people come out the more your channel grows. I just can't imagine ever being so rude to someone like that.
Yeah, I wonder if they're drunk or just
they're just sitting at home in their basement, maybe their mother's basement, and just railing at the world. And they lash out.
You develop a thick skin for it eventually, though. If you participate in online communities at all, you do.
Yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned I'm only going to get mad if you start insulting someone other than me.
Yeah, I hate a bully. That's for sure.
I mean, I can take it if you want to, but I'm not going to let you pick on someone else or make derogatory comments about authors or something like that.
I've never gotten into rarely arguments with commenters, but I've gotten arguments with other creators.
I've participated in a lot of online communities. I've been paid to moderate discussion boards before, and the BookTube community is the most polite community I've ever been involved with on the internet.
Well, that's probably just the nature of being book readers that we don't.
Yes.
I think we're probably more open to a lot of different things because there's so many types of books, and you're going to have to listen to the people who love young adult or you love romance or whatever. And if you don't like it, they're just sharing the platform with you, and let them be,
Yeah,
I hear this question discussed occasionally. Does reading make you a better person? And usually they say no. But I absolutely think that reading makes you a better person. But they always point out examples of, Hitler was a reader and look at what an awful person he was. Or Saddam Hussein was a reader and look at what an awful person he was. But here's the thing you're not thinking about. How much more awful would they have been if they weren't readers?
Well, there are.
But it could have been worse.
I was doing a research on a video once, and now my research was ChatGPT, so you got to hold. Don't hold.
Cross your fingers.
It could be ChatGPT can definitely be wrong, but there have been studies where they mentioned that readers, especially of fiction, often are more empathetic in situations because you can relate. Say, well, this is like that character suffering to that person. Give them a little bit of distance, whatever they need. Just because you understand. Now, obviously, it's not 100% across the board. Reading the novel is not going to make a bad person a good person, but it could make someone who doesn't have any fixed idea on how people should be treated more lenient to them. I think that's how someone would put it.
Well, I made a video not long ago called Why Fiction Matters. Mm-hmm. And it was in response to a friend of mine who had told me that reading novels and short stories was stupid. This was different from the commenter that said this. And one of the points that I made in my video about why fiction matters is it gives you an opportunity to have a dress rehearsal for situations in life without having to deal with the consequences necessarily. For example, you can read a book about a guy who fails in business without going broke. You can read a book about a guy who goes to war and is injured and gets a Purple Heart without having to enlist in the army and get shot. But my favorite one is you can read a book about people falling in love and not ruin your life.
Yeah. I've learned more from fiction, or I've learned as much or more from fiction than nonfiction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I won't say no. Not good nonfiction is still good nonfiction, and it still can have that empathetic. It brings you into history. And I'll mention the book we read together. Of the Fredericksburg.
Worst Place in Hell.
Worst Place in Hell, because that brings you exactly into what it would have been like in certain situations in the Civil War.
Like this, Randy, have you read that?
I have not read that, but I'm intrigued. Will one of you guys send me a message after this and remind me about the title so I can get it?
Yeah, well, Randy, it basically follows 5 people during the Civil War. It follows Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Okay.
Walt Whitman, Louise May Alcott, a guy you never heard of named Arthur Fuller. He was a one-eyed preacher, and a Civil War Confederate artilleryman.
Okay.
And they all come together at the Battle of Fredericksburg.
Yeah, I just reread it last November for Nonfiction November.
Yep. But I will send you the link, Randy, so you won't forget.
Yeah, I definitely want to read it. One of the things that I pointed out in my video about why fiction matters too was that even in a fantasy like Lord of the Rings, there are real life lessons to be learned. For example, Frodo is given this incredible burden to bear that no one else can possibly understand. In real life, we all face that situation at some point in our lives. And this gives us an opportunity to see how you should behave in that situation. But I don't know anybody who hasn't had a burden that seemed like no one else could understand it and didn't know how to handle it. But I can think, well, this is what Frodo did. I can do it too. I can bear up and I can act like a man.
Now, I don't know if Emily's still here at M's reads, but like she just recently read or reread Lord of the Rings, and I wish I could have a chance to jump on that, but I'm going to put that on my TBR for next year. I've never really read that.
I only read the first 2 books in high school. I never finished it.
We had some overlap because it was a book for my book club, and she was reading it too at the same time, but not at the same time. There was an overlap.
Oh.
But yeah, that was really fun because Steve, I thought Steve Donahue read some of it out loud, but that was Dracula that Steve Donahue read out loud.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually really fun. I've seen Steve Donahue read Lord of the Rings out loud a few years ago, but his rendition of Dracula I thought was really entertaining.
Yeah, I missed that.
All right, let's get some comments. Chat said Kate Chopin's story of an hour is probably not the shortest, but it's very short, 2 to 3 pages, maybe the shortest I used to teach.
I can still hear you.
Ferris says, I'd be tempted to read that, Pat. Boy's Life by Robert R. McKenna is excellent.
Yes.
Yes. So Dallas, I'm finishing up King's Sorrow and the challenge each of you to come up with a riddle. We should all have a riddle in the back when we meet. I cannot come up with a riddle.
I'm gonna have to read that King's Sorrow someday.
Yeah, it's on sale
Dallas.
For Kindle, $1.99 last week.
No kidding.
Dallas is playing Stump the Chump tonight. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
King Sorrow was wonderful, by the way. It's absolutely marvelous book. You know what? I read that and Wanderers back to back, and I thought this might be the best year of reading of my entire life.
Cool.
Wow, man, that's high
Yeah,
praise.
King Sorrow is incredible.
Oh wow.
So here's one from.
In fact, I'm pretty sure Dallas is reading it because I recommended it to him.
French writer Felix Fignon wrote the shortest stories. His novels, 3 lines, published by NYRB. Hold on for 1 second. We're looking at yes, oh, there, I can't quite reach it.
You getting tired, Randy?
Oh yeah.
All right, we're going to call it quits in just a minute. So this is a book he's made. It's novels in 3 lines. So he wrote a whole book of 3-line novels. I'm just wait a second. Let's do this fair. Pick a number Randy, between 1 and 161.
42.
42. All right. We're going to go to page 42 and see what novels he has on there. Okay, this is a novel from page 42. An automobile belonging to Monsieur Oliver Lavois killed Monsieur Montguer, who was strolling in Chantrolles. I don't think that's right. I think there's more to it. I don't think these are individual. I thought these were individual novels, but they're not. Maybe they are, but this is an idea, short novels. Okay. I just mentioned that because he came up with this book and I have it on my shelf. So
I like a book by you probably know the title of it, Marcel Schwab. The thin book, it's kind of like fairy tale-ish. It's horror-ish. It's I gotta find it. Clifford.
Dark Gems.
No, the bigger channel. Yeah, Better Than Food recommended it.
Clifford Sargent.
Yeah, Marcel Schwab, SCHWOB, has a book of short stories. I got to get it again. I gave it away, and it was so good. I gave it away. Anyway.
All right, so we have Flying Hamster. I don't know if Flying Hamster has been here before.
I don't think so. I noticed her too.
I'm a
Never heard.
Rumble of the Bailey series by John Mortimer. Any of you guys fans? I read them all in the 80s, and I'm recently rereading. By the way, no complaints about you fine gentlemen. Yay! No, I've never read anything about Rumpel. I should one day.
It's on my list.
Yeah, I have a list that'll take me up to the age 500.
I have a month this year dedicated to nothing but courtroom dramas.
All right.
Yeah, I kind of lived through a lot of that. That's why I've never seen an episode of Cops. God, I hate that show.
People
An episode of what?
Cops.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
I hate that
None
show.
for me, thanks.
Libra says the comic book community on YouTube is incredibly generous and kind as well. And I love to reread Lord of the Rings every couple of years. So much to gain from it each time. One of
Yes.
these years,
Right.
I need to read the whole Lord of the Rings. It's just finding time to come in. Like already 2027, we're doing Dumas, and I don't think I'm going to get Lord of the Rings and Dumas in the same year, but who knows?
You know, you read a chapter a day, every day for 3 months, and you've read The Lord of the Rings.
Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll try it.
2, 3.
3.
You need 3. All right.
Yeah, 3 months.
Constance is going, saying goodnight. We're about ready to say goodnight here, so Jeff says goodnight.
Hi, Campbell.
I just read The Hobbit for the first time.
Ooh, who said
So
that?
good.
Yeah, I've tried to read The Hobbit and DNF'd it. My baby's mama, she was really into fantasy, and that was one of her favorite books, and I've tried to read that a number of times. And I should read it again. I mean, I ain't knocking it. I love the movie. I haven't seen the movie Hobbit, but I saw Lord of the Rings movie, of course. But enjoyed that. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Nothing's wrong with the Alan. So here says he says Farrah says I'm still hoping to read the rest. A little fallen again. They're talking to each other, so I'm going to skip conversations where you're talking to each other. But Libra says that was the novel. 2 sentences. They were published in a newspaper daily. Okay, so that's the idea. Is that
some guy had a car and hit another guy and killed him.
3 youths were swimming. One, Janette, disappeared. The other dived. They brought him up dead.
Swimming.
Okay, those aren't novels. That's a gimmick.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're calling the barest of plot lines a novel, and it's not a novel. A novel, words mean something, and a novel means something, and it's not 3 lines.
Right. All right. And Farrah, I hope you all have a nice night. Great to see you guys. I guess the end of our comments. So wait a second. We're just at the end of comments, get another comment. Another good
There you go.
Little in your back pocket. If you run into Gollum under those misty mountains. Here's my riddle. What is the sound of one hand clapping?
The wind. My answer to that koan.
You know, hear this?
I love koans.
All right.
That's one hand clapping, guys. Can you hear it?
Yep. But the answer
not very loud.
The answer to that koan is the wind. What is the answer to what did your parents' face look like? Oh shit, I fucked it up. Time to quit. Time to quit.
What did your face look like before you were born or something like that?
Yeah. What did your face look like before your parents were born?
Something. Okay, gentlemen, people in the chat room. It's about time for us to call it a night.
Either God can abolish all evil or he will not. If he cannot, he is not all good. If he will not, he is not all powerful.
That's not a riddle. That's
St. Augustine.
No, that's the argument for the non-existence of God.
That's St. Augustine paradox.
All right, gentlemen, people in the chat room. It's been great having you, Randy. Thanks for coming in on such short
notice. Thank y'all so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks, Randy.
All right.
I can't wait to do it again next week.
Yeah.
Next week, it's going to be Alan and me in Portland.
Nice.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep. All right, everyone. Have a great night.
All right. Cheers.